Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Anne Budge says she made the right call with Craig Levein. Comper arrives in Scotland to sign for Celtic. Kenny Miller out with a long-term injury. Yeah, that's just a few of the talking points Alan Ruff will be discussing with me, Peter Martin. I'm absolutely delighted on this Tuesday night to welcome our boot-room guest, the Dumbarton boss, Stevie Aitken. That'll give us a chance to talk about not only Dumbarton, but all things the Championship. That's coming up a little later in the programme. Let's look at the back page headlines and the sports pages. Scotland Axe broke my heart. This is an interview Gordon Strachan has been giving to the written press. And basically the upset over the way it was delivered to him by a phone call is the crux of the story. The sidebar there is Scott Brown saying no more Celts collapses, and Stuart Milne, the Aberdeen chairman, saying he will back Derek McInnes with cash. The Mail has "Don't be fooled." This is Scott Brown again warning the rivals that they won't be swept aside like they were against Hearts at the weekend. And Stephen Naismith has a little story there, opens the door for a possible move back to Scotland. Could that be at Rangers? Only time will tell. And the Press and Journal is, of course, now bring on the hoops. Aberdeen impressive with that thumping of Hibernian, now getting ready for Celtic at Celtic Park on Saturday. So we start with that Hearts AGM. There's nothing like an AGM after a 4-0 thumping of Celtic. Everything will go smoothly, people will be smiling, there will be a sense of optimism in the air, and Anne Budge has also revealed that an anonymous benefactor contributed £4.5 million towards the building of the new Tynecastle main stand. It's no wonder, Ruffy, she's smiling.
Yeah, that I think any club that finds somebody like that, I'm sure Stevie would like to find something like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, one person, that'd be quite nice.
But no, it's fantastic. But it just, I think even when Hearts were, struggling, we always thought there would be somebody out there, and Anne Budge obviously coming in knows a few people and knows how to get them involved, and she's done remarkably well since she's went in there, and you can see the benefit they're getting from it now. Yeah,
absolutely. They've obviously got to find some more money, but that new main stand will generate £1 million on match days, so they'll be able to bite into any debt that they do have, and of course they want to try and develop that main stand just below it. There's still quite a bit of work to do, but good times for Hearts, and Anne Budge says the decision to put Craig Levein in as manager has been vindicated.
I think it was obviously a tough decision for all of us, really, to make. But one thing I would say is I've never seen him happier. More content. I think he really is enjoying it, because even when he said yes, he would do it, I'm not sure that he knew how he was going to find it. But now he has relaxed into it a bit more.
I still think he's got to win them over wholeheartedly, but he's certainly starting to win them over, especially with that result on Sunday.
Yeah, I think Craig Levein's a really good fit for Hearts. He's been as a player. He knows the board really well. He's also close with Anne Budge as well. And also the result at the weekend, put in the right direction. And it was good to see some young players getting an opportunity at Hearts, because certainly there's a lot of good kids here.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're brimming with confidence, according to the manager, Craig Levein.
Those 3 victories in a row will give the players confidence, and give the supporters confidence as well. I think the connection between the players and the supporters is a big one for us. With the nature of the stadium we've got at Tynecastle, it feels that everything's right on top of you. And when the players play the way they did yesterday, then they certainly enlivens the whole environment. And I thought it was fantastic to be there.
Yeah, the whole city, well, not the whole city, the west end of the city, Ruffy, is buzzing about that result. I think, in a strange sort of way, it had to come sooner or later, but I think it's just given everyone in the Premiership a lift, the injection of not only the delight for Hearts, but everybody else thinking, oh, well, finally it's over.
Yeah, finally it's over, but you'd be daft to think that Celtic aren't going to bounce back. They still have quality players in there. it could have been just a one-off game for them individually, but you can't take anything away from Hearts. You know, the way they set themselves about the job, you could see the work rate that they were putting in, they were pressing everything. Celtic players just never got a chance, you know, to get into the rhythm of the game, and they got the goals at the right time. So, yeah, I think we all thought it was coming, but I don't think we thought it would come in the manner that it came in.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Craig Levein has mentioned there's a small matter of an Edinburgh derby on the horizon. He hopes the side haven't peaked too soon.
I hope we're not peaking. I think that just steady improvement would be good. But we've got St Johnstone to deal with, and I'm not even thinking about the Hibs game at this minute in time. For us to enable us to keep climbing the table and keep the confidence high, we need to put on a good show up at McDermott Park. So that's my focus for now.
Yeah, it kind of appeals into insignificance, Stevie, if you get a big result. I mean, the classic case is yourselves. You've beaten St Mirren, and then the last thing you want to do is flop the game after.
Yeah, what went against us was obviously missing the week. We called off for the weather. Momentum was really good with us, going to league leaders, winning, and then wanting the next game, it called off for the bad weather. So hampered us on Saturday. We weren't ourselves in the first half, but certainly second half at Inverness were really good, and should have got a draw at the game. And excited looking for his team to continue what they showed on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah,
okay. As far as some of the stories that we've got coming up for you, we will indeed hear from the Aberdeen chairman Stuart Milne on the future for Derek McInnes in the January transfer window. The future for the club and that move to Kingsford as well is on the horizon. Just one of the stories that was in the newspapers this morning I thought I'd get your thoughts on, guys. The Gordon Strachan interview. This is the first time obviously that he's had a chat about it. Let go by a phone call from Stuart Regan. I think it could have been a bit classier than that. I mean, they made the decision on the Thursday. They should have waited to make it to him face to face, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think sometimes in football there's a lot of bad management going about, you know, and that's one of them. And you know, you're right. You know, as a player, you know, with Scotland and as a manager, you would have expected them to let him come in, you know, and then talk it through them, give them the reasons. But to do it on the end of a phone call just doesn't seem right, you know. I mean, I'm just harping on it myself. I played for 10 years with Scotland and never got a phone call. I mean, nobody. I know that I was looking for one, but it'd been nice if somebody had said thanks very much or whatever, you know. But nothing. But these things happen in football. People don't think, you know, that these wee details mean a lot to people.
Yeah. Do you still think your international career is alive then, Ruffy?
No, I just thought when you know, well, it was 10 years and been to 3 World Cups and then it finishes and then that's it. Yeah. You're not in the next squad, which you would expect to be, but I'm saying these wee details of somebody just picking up a phone, not just me. Yeah. You know, I don't know if anybody else got a phone call, but I certainly didn't.
I mean, you can understand. I think from Gordon Strachan's point of view, Stevie, he's open enough to admit that Georgia and Lithuania were results that killed him off, really. But I thought he improved the squad. I think he deserves better than that.
Yeah, I think we look at the campaign, I think the results that they spoke about there, they really hampered them. But the second half of the campaign, the momentum grew, the supporters took on what he was trying to do, better players came in. The results were really good, performances were really strong, you know, and if the decision was that after the campaign we don't make it, then we'll change the manager, then there should be a procedure to do that. Doing it through a phone call is not the right way to go and do it. And even yet there's still no manager in place, so why was the hurry to tell him his job was away when there's still nobody to take his position?
Yeah, and of course I think the backroom staff, they're still waiting on the call as well, Ruffy. Over the piece though, you can tell he's hurting because, you know, I know him on a personal level. He was a Scotland fan, a fanatic. He wanted to do well for his country, fiercely proud of the position that he held at every level in football.
I think if you get a chance to see the interview that he did when he got the job, it was all about the supporters, so it wasn't about him. You know, he just wanted to take the supporters and the players to a big final. He knew how much it meant to everybody. He'd obviously been to a few himself, so that was his task. And I think personally, as you know him, he would have felt he'd let everybody down, and that's just the way the guy is.
Yeah, I just wonder, Stevie, if there's any kind of ambition to get back into it again. I think that might have been his last job.
Yeah, it might have been. He might have been wanting to finish off. I think any manager, when you're starting off in your career, you maybe look at the international job as maybe your last one, or maybe one towards the end of your career. Although a lot of countries now are going to go for the kind of younger manager, I think he's done what he's done in the game has probably been better than what maybe we can imagine. You know. And as Ruffy said, I think but everyone's just desperate for Scotland to try to get to one of these tournaments, and I think nobody more desperate than Gordon Strachan for the kind of Scottish person he is.
Yeah, he's suggested that he wants to maybe get back into the media work, Ruffy. Peter, Ruffy and Gordon doesn't work. I mean, there's no real flow to it, is there? There's no point. Plus, you and him would argue non-stop all the time.
No, we got on really well with each other.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be any confrontation there at all.
Yeah? Did you get on well with him when you played with him?
Yeah, I thought he was great fun. And he's another individual that the supporters never really saw the real Gordon Strachan, because we know him really well, and he's a very funny guy.
Yep, absolutely, and a good coach as well. Okay, after the break we're going to hear from the Aberdeen chairman Stuart Milne, who's been talking after their AGM about the plans for the club and of course the future for Derek McInnes and his plans for strengthening Aberdeen in the January transfer window. Yeah, one away, 1954, which surprised me, to be perfectly honest with you, Ruffy. The Elvis Presley one was the one I was going for. It wasn't Wolves winning the First Division.
I was trying to think, what was the thing the boy Howard was in when he was young?
Happy Days.
No, he was in something. Was he in on the Waltons? No.
No, I'm afraid not. I don't know where you're going with that, Ruffy, but he wasn't in the Waltons. But I know the guy you're thinking of in the Waltons, because we were forced to watch it in the days when there were only 3 channels. so with that in mind, how we get on? I never thought we'd get the Waltons in this programme, but Ruffy's managed to do it. Let's switch our attention to another AGM, this time Aberdeen, because the Dons fans will be going there again, I think, in good spirits, because everything in the camp there is good now that Derek McInnes has decided he's there as the Dons boss. I think the main crux of it all, Ruffy, has got to be about, how they get out of Pittodrie and get that whole Kingsford thing passed.
Yeah, I think it just opens in a new era for them. As a player, you want to turn up at the best facilities. Stevie will know that when you've got players, working into a good environment, you get a return from it. I also think it could maybe attract better players, just by showing them around the complex, and the stadium itself obviously is going to be really modern. So yeah, I just think they need to get it as quick as possible. Obviously, when we spoke to Stuart, most of the finances there, they have benefactors as well. I'm sure that'll push all the financial side of that through as well. So from that point of view, everything's looking really rosy, and obviously on the park as well. To be sitting at number 2 in the league is something that the supporters will really buy into. Yeah,
I think the other worrying thing about it though, Stevie, is the fact that he's already, Stuart Milne, ploughed in £750,000 just trying to, get the message across on this planning consent.
Yeah, and it's something that they're going to try and go over the line. How they do it, it's going to cost more money. I think Stuart Milne will go and do that. I think the only thing that's missing up in Aberdeen, as Ruffy said, is the state-of-the-art stadium. But more importantly, for Derek's side and from the manager's point of view, is getting this training base, a facility that you can work in day out. Travelling to different venues, and even attracting players. You can show them around the venue, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what Stuart Milne had to say on the Kingsford plans.
I believe that there's more than a reasonable prospect that we'll get the right outcome here, and that's what we'll be focused on from now to the end of January, doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we get the right decision. But once we get that decision, the pressure is really on us as a club to deliver. We've got to find that first 10 million to deliver the training, the community facilities, once that's done, hopefully in place by summer 19, we then need to take a big deep breath, and then we've got to be ready to tackle phase 2, to raise the 40 million to deliver the stadium. And that's going to be the biggest single thing that this club's ever been confronted with.
Well, we were up there talking to him. He's passionate about Aberdeen. I mean, if he gets the go-ahead and is able to complete phase 1 and phase 2, he will have left a legacy in Aberdeen for the city for, what, the next century?
Yeah, of course. We just have to look at all the clubs. I mean, the big clubs, you look at Hibs, you look at Tynecastle, you know, and Celtic as well, with the new modern stadium. The supporters buy into it, you know, because particularly up at Aberdeen, where it is not the only club you can go and support, but the majority of people will be their club, you know, so it's a community involvement thing. And I know there obviously will be objectors. There's always objectors when you move into plans of that kind of thing, but I would like to think that they would look at the bigger picture, you know, for the whole community of Aberdeen. Yeah,
the only problem is if they don't get the go-ahead, Stuart Milne has mentioned there's no plan B on this one. As far as the playing side of things is concerned, well, the chairman, after that defeat that Hearts inflicted on Celtic, Stuart Milne says, you know, every team now is making it a competitive league.
I think this season we've got the most competitive league it we've seen for a long time, and it's great to see the performance that Hearts put in Sunday. They've got that fantastic new stadium there. All these things I think are really good for the game, and that's why I keep saying, no, we've got to stop fighting each other if we'd more of a common goal for Scottish football. I do genuinely believe we could start to make real strides forward in the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of turmoil over the last 4 or 5 years in Scottish football. I think Stuart Milne's always strongly said, put that behind you and start moving on together. Every team has to get together.
Well, we've got to do that because you look at the countries in the world, our leagues are very strong, and you can see that when our teams get into the European competitions. We're playing against countries and teams that you're thinking, now we should be expecting to beat them, and you're seeing year after year that these teams are actually turning us over. So, yeah, we have to get behind a strong Scottish league. And what I said to you earlier, that for me, they should have 2 leagues of 16 and try and bring these clubs up and Toby, all these other countries. And that's for me, the only way of doing that is to make it bigger leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it would take away some of the fear factor at the bottom end of it and maybe allow managers to throw in a few youngsters and, in fact, throw in a few players that they might be able to recruit if there's more money in the game. And Aberdeen fans will be hanging on Stuart Milne's every word with regards to Derek McInnes's transfer plans for the January window.
Derek does want to freshen the squad up a bit during the January window, but it's going to be more a freshening up and any radical changes within the squad. I think we need to give our squad of players a chance to really show what they're capable of doing, and if Derek can make the right 1 or 2 moves during the January window, then hopefully we can get a real momentum going in the second half of the season.
I'll tell you, Ruffy, if you could add maybe 1 or 2 that, you know, really would make it a good race.
Yeah, I still don't think there'll be money involved. I still don't think they'll splash out 500 or whatever. I think it'll be Derek identifying players to bring into the wage bill and players that we want to strengthen the team, because if we saw with Celtic, the strength in Celtic is not only on the park but on the bench. You know, and I think if Derek could get people on the bench that he can turn around and say, well, they could maybe turn the game for me, you know, that's the kind of players we'll be looking at.
Yeah, I have to point out, and you might look at this, managers are great for statistics, Stevie, when it's spinning it to make it, yeah, well, spinning it to make it look good, but you know, there's a certain amount of hysteria following Celtic's defeat. It's 1 defeat in 70. The players are hurting from it, and suddenly they've got Partick Thistle next. But the other thing about it is everybody's talking about the moves that clubs will make. Celtic have already said that they're going to strengthen. Marvin Comper is a 32-year-old German defender who's in Glasgow, and they expect him to sign. That's just the start of it.
Yeah, you're looking at what teams will do in January, and I think Derek being ambitious that he is, and the fact that he can knock back big clubs that's came from like Sunderland and Rangers, shows that he wants to move Aberdeen on. He will not be happy with just finishing second to Celtic. He want to try and push them. You're right, it's Celtic for the money. You know, it's all right saying Aberdeen will sign, Hearts will sign, Hibs will sign, but Celtic will outdo anything when it comes to that. The team you've got to feel sorry for is probably Partick Thistle, because to go 70 games and losing one, they're not used to losing games in Scotland. The players will be hurting. I'm sure Brendan and his staff will put it right, you know, and usually find the next team that come are the ones that unfortunately are the wrong side of a sore one. So I'm sure for Alan, at Thistle's point of view, they don't look at that, but it will make it interesting. But I still see Celtic run away quite comfortably towards the end of it.
Yeah, it's almost as if you've second guessed this, but that's exactly what Partick Thistle boss Alan Archibald fears: a backlash.
Well, no doubt they'll want to get a result for their fans after a disappointing way in the manner of the amount of goals they lost, so we're aware of that as well. But it's always like that when you go to Parkhead. I don't think it's any different. You need to make sure you're at your best, especially the first 15-20 minutes, and you don't get caught up in the atmosphere and lose an early goal, because it gives you a mountain to climb. Yeah,
it was a sore one at the weekend for Partick Thistle, Ruffy.
Yeah, but any time they've been turned over, it's been really bad defensive displays. Individual mistakes, you know, cost them. But Partick Thistle went to Parkhead last year, and I think they got a draw, or they could have won it in the end. But I'm not saying that's going to happen this time. Yeah. But I think Alan will know exactly what he's got to do. You know, they've all got to work tireless together and cut out the silly mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, apart from anything else, Scott Brown pointed out that, you know, lots of teams, managers, scouts, everybody looks at Celtic and the way they play, and it's how you try and counter that. Hearts did it to great effect. Aberdeen tried to do that earlier in the season and ended up on the end of a 3-0 hiding.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way Celtic play, even they go in Europe, they play that same way, and I think if teams in Scotland, you could try and go toe-to-toe with Celtic, then you're the wrong side of it doing, because obviously they've got better players than what majority of teams have got, so you have to look at a game plan that maybe stifle their play, and I think Hearts done a great at the weekend. I mean, Celtic couldn't get going at all, and that was all down to Hearts pressing high and not letting them out, and I'm sure teams will look at that, but I'm sure the Celtic players will find a way around about that in the coming weeks. Yeah,
it's all building it up nicely, Ruffy, towards Saturday. I just can't wait for it. Celtic against Aberdeen's going to be a cracker.
Well, for me, it's all about Aberdeen. I mean, the last one up at Pittodrie, we were all thinking, Aberdeen, this is it, you know, and Celtic went up there and really turned it on and went ahead pretty early on in the game and just ran the game completely. So I think for me, it's all about Derek McInnes coming up with some kind of formation or some kind of plan, you know, to beat them, because they beat them quite comfortably last time.
Yep, okay. After the break, we're going to hear from Norwich City and Scotland international Stephen Naismith, and we'll also discuss some bad news for Kenny Miller at Rangers. Join us after the break. If I told you that the Dumbarton boss Stevie Aitken got that on the Epcot Centre being opened at Disney, there's something worrying there, isn't there? Obviously you were quickly over there on your holidays at the time.
It's a yearly jaunt in the summer over to Florida, you know, and it was just something stuck in my head. It was 25 years it had been opened up over there, and I kind of made my calculations, got to 82, and lucky I was got it right. Yep,
absolutely well nailed. Okay, disappointing news on Kenny Miller coming out that he's going to be out for quite a significant period of time. It's a ruptured, I think it's a ruptured hamstring, Ruffy, which sounds really painful. 37 years of age. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, out for a long period. Long period suggests to me that he'll struggle to get back before the end of the season. Then I'm thinking to myself, is there another year left in him somewhere?
Well, it's a Kenny Miller shout. You know, he'll know himself, you know, how long he wants to keep playing for. But I would like to think, we were speaking earlier about, you know, certain people at certain clubs doing right by players and managers. I would like to think there's somewhere for Kenny Miller at Rangers Football Club. You know, he's already, I'm sure he'll be doing stuff behind the scenes with the development and the youth, and if he doesn't want to play, and I think since he's decided to play on, I think he's been absolutely a breath of fresh air, and I'm sure he would have been about the Ibrox, but I think he'll have some position to play at Ibrox.
Yeah, to be fair, some of the Rangers fans freely admit he wasn't at his best at the start. Obviously, I think in many cases he was firefighting with Pedro Caixinha and vilified wrongly in my mind. But if you look at Kenny's career over the piece at Ibrox, I think he's been a real credit to the club.
He's been an outstanding pro right through his career. He's conducted himself in the right manner. I think when it all came out of it, the problems with Caixinha, I think everybody kind of knew Kenny Miller, knew the game. That wasn't his kind of style. He's probably hurt about what's happening there. You know, he's probably seen things happening that probably shouldn't be happening. He's come back in. You know, I think he's been good. It's a blow for him, but it's a blow for Rangers, because I don't think Rangers have got a squad that's capable to do without someone like Kenny Miller's experience running about it. You know, there's a lot of kids in about there just now, and they don't seem to go in the right direction. You know, and they need players like that in there at the moment, so that's a big blow for Rangers.
Yeah, if anything, Ruffy, there were times when he started dropping deeper and deeper just to try and build the play. That's when you know things are not going well, when your more experienced players are thinking, I've got to try and do something extra here, when really Rangers fans wanted him in the final third.
Yeah. But no, all credit to him. I think Rangers obviously through and through, and I think dropping into that midfield role or just off the strikers was a good plan for him, you know, because he could dictate things, he could help everybody round about him, and that's what he did. The game that sticks out for me was the Rangers Celtic game at Parkhead. I thought it was absolutely tremendous, but at 37 to have that level of fitness, you know, to play in the positions that he played in and still be buzzing about and creating chances is excellent as a player. Yeah,
okay, from one current Rangers player to a former Rangers player. Stevie Naismith was up in Glasgow yesterday. Of course, he was actually part of a Christmas lunch for homeless people with the charity Loaves and Fishes. This is something that he gets involved in regularly. There has been a wee suggestion that he'll review his career in January and possibly look for a move back to Scotland, which has quite a few people putting two and two together and suggesting Rangers, possibly Kilmarnock. I'll tell you, there are a few clubs looking and wondering if they could get a hold of him.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously the Rangers is there because of the attraction that he's been there before. But again, this will be the players' shout, you know, and there certainly are other teams apart from Rangers who could do with him. Hibs, Aberdeen, Hearts. You know, they'll see him as a player who still has same energy as Kenny Miller had, and would be worthwhile having a look at.
Yeah, of course, quite a few opinions on other things, especially to do with international matters. The question was posed, what about the future of Hampden? Should we stay or go?
There has been a few games that I've had and I thought that the atmosphere was incredible and things like that, but and I think my dad and my grandparents aren't going to thank me for saying it, but I think if everything was right, they should move and use the facilities we've got if it worked financially and all the rest of it, and you could use that money in a better system for creating great players, then I think that would be better.
Yeah, okay, I like Stevie, I disagree with him. I don't think necessarily Hampden is the noose round our country's inability to produce great players.
No, you're right. I think it goes a lot deeper than that. You know, I think there's a good debate in the Hampden one. You know, it's a stadium, obviously it's an icon. You know, I mean, it's Scottish FA, it's Scottish National Stadium. You know, but is it outdated now? I mean, there's a lot of arguments saying it is. You know, it's where did they go? Would they use their money elsewhere and put it into the kind of grassroots of Scottish game? If that's the case, then you'd go for a move, you know. But for me, it's Hampden should stay there, you know, and maybe try and develop it in the future.
It's turned into just a fantastic game of let's do a press release, you know, to try and sway people's opinion on it. I mean, there is some amount of lobbying going on behind the scenes and various people being used to fire out the agenda for this one, Ruffy.
Yeah, you can see wee snippets of people throwing their tuppence worth in, and I mean, I'm in the same camp as you. I think that Hampden should be not redeveloped, but it should be tweaked here and there. I think everybody's talked about behind the goals, it's too far away for the supporters, and if it was brought in, it would add an unbelievable, you know, atmosphere as it does at Ibrox and Parkhead when the stands are in there, and I think it would add to it. Obviously the finance has got to come in, but it's amazing, you know, when people need to find finance and they really want it, they find it. So I would like to think the people behind the scenes are actively trying to find some way of doing that, because I don't think any of us want to move for Hampden with the history it's got.
Yeah, well, some people do, Ruffy.
Yeah.
You can't speak for everyone.
No.
What we need to do is try and get out there and find somebody who's got £4.5 million spare cash, Ruffy, just to move those seats in and suddenly make it a better stadium. Of course, Stephen was also talking about the potential for a new Scotland boss. No Gordon Strachan. Malky Mackay had it on a short-term basis. We still don't really know where the SFA are on Michael O'Neill as yet, but Stevie Naismith offered his thoughts.
It's not a competitive game for now, for a while, so I think it's the right thing to make sure we get the right candidate in. Again, it's something I've said in the past, we're so close to having a real go at making a finals, and hopefully that last piece can be a manager who has got some good ideas, some forward-thinking ideas, and uses the squad in the way that he likes to get the best out of them.
Yeah, the next manager who gets us to a major finals gets the freedom of the country, doesn't he, Stevie?
It does, you know, everybody's desperate for it, you know, supporters, managers, players, to try and get there, you know, and we're just falling short, you know, so somebody's going to come in and got to try and get us there. Who it is? There's a lot of good names out there, you know, but as yet there's nothing been announced yet, so well, like Michael O'Neill, who's done a terrific job at Northern Ireland, was at Alan McLeish have a fancy another go at it. But even Derek McInnes, I think it's a wee shot for him. I don't know, there's certainly plenty of names out there, but it doesn't seem to be any kind of move forward to who they're going to go and get.
Yeah, still doesn't seem to be the outstanding candidate. I think in a strange sort of way they're leaving themselves wide open if Northern Ireland suddenly get, you know, the deal on the table that Michael O'Neill wants to sign, then we need to start looking at the other candidates, Ruffy.
Yeah, but as Stevie was saying there, the candidates aren't jumping out and hitting us, no? Like club football, you could think of 10, 20, 30 people who would be candidates for any managerial job. The national one, we don't know which way they're going to go down. We don't know if it's going to be somebody Scottish, we don't know if it's going to be a foreigner. The other ones that will know what their actively plan B is, but certainly we're not all jumping about, you know, throwing names about.
Okay, I started off this segment of the programme with some sad news on Kenny Miller. We're going to end this part with some good news on Doogie Imrie. The old campaigner is still going strong. He's signed a new one-year contract extension with the club. He's a great lad, Doogie, 34. His fitness is incredible. He's a great example, I think, to younger players, Stevie.
He is, and when we watch Hamilton on the highlights of the weekend, he's always involved in everything good that Hamilton do. Yeah, you know, he's excited to himself because at that age, well, 34 is maybe no old nowadays, but to play Premier League at the level he's playing at and still be week in, week out doing it, that's all down to him looking after himself, and I'm excited to him for that. Yeah, absolutely. He's been a stalwart for them, and the fitness we've discussed. But he chips in there. If he's not scoring, he's creating. No, I think whoever came up with the idea to make him the captain, he's got that big C in his elbow, and he seems to love every minute of it. You know, he's just putting everything into the game. I think obviously he knows he's maybe getting a couple of years, but he's enjoying every minute of it, and I think he's great to watch. Like Stevie's saying, you know, he's involved in everything, and he's always got something to say somewhere to somebody on the park, and but that's what Hamilton's all about. You know, it's that work ethic that they've got. You know, and he certainly typifies everything about Hamilton players. Absolutely, and the Cypriot internationalist Alexander Gogic has extended his agreement for another 2.5 years. I love the way you said there, Ruff. He's got that big C on his arm, and I could see Stevie laughing, thinking there's a few players that have got a name for him. It starts with C when he plays with them, but that's because there's no quarter given with Doogie Imrie. Great to see him staying and extending his stay at Hamilton Accies. Okay, next up we're going to talk to Stevie Aitken about that championship. Dumbarton staying in the championship, is that the aim, or maybe something a little better?
did we not get that, Ruffy? I mean, I know why Stevie didn't get it. There wasn't a Walt Disney movie in there. But as far as you and me, Ruffy, we should have nailed that. Oh, there was The Lion King. You're a disgrace, by the way. How did you not get that? Anyway, I must say a couple of bits of information that I think we must mention. We always mention on the programme, Ruffy, the positives, that a lot of footballers, a lot of clubs go round all the hospitals at this period of time. I know footballers out with the festive period do a lot of good work in the background that goes unnoticed, but it's great to see so many clubs across all 4 divisions in Scotland getting out to hospital, Stevie, and just making kids and patients' lives just that little bit better at difficult times. Yeah, you're right, and it's credit to every club that they do something. All the players giving up their spare time to go out and visit all these kids whose Christmas is not going to be like ours. They're going to be joy with your family. They're going to be unfortunately stuck in the hospital. So it's the fact that all the clubs can do something. I think it should be done on a regular basis, and to be fair, it usually does. Yeah, absolutely. And the news that the Championship clubs will now let kids under 12 in for free. Positive step, can see what they're thinking, grassroots, get them in there. Yeah, we've got the Barton, obviously we don't get the bigger crowds that the other teams get in the division, so we need to try and do what we can. We've got a lot of tickets out in the community for free. We've got a lot of schools and try and give tickets out, so we'll try and encourage young kids to come to the game, and if we can get them in early, and hopefully they can stay with us for years to come. Yeah, it's a good initiative by the Championship, Ruffy. Yeah, it certainly is. As Stevie said, the crowds aren't as big as some of the other clubs, but even 100 people come and makes a. When we talk about the Premier League, we're talking thousands. Yeah. Even 100, 150 people makes a difference. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Dumbarton, because 1 defeat in the last 7 games. It's good going there at your boys, and you're always capable, I think, of taking a big scalp. We always see it when we're here on the Saturday programme. Yeah, well, for a good spell recently. It's been, again, a division that's very competitive. What we've done well in the summer is recruit good players again, to meet us that competitive edge. And yeah, we've been in a great form recently. And then we got to St Mirren 2 weeks ago, league leaders and winning there. Disappointing, obviously, Saturday losing at Inverness, but we could get a draw at the game. So the fact that the players are competing, which is a tough division, and when you see games week in, week out, and how many good teams in there, good players, the fact that Dumbarton's competing speaks volumes for what we're trying to do. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think we should emphasise the fact, though, Stevie, you guys are part-time. I mean, talk about punching above your weight in that division where it's so competitive right now. Yeah, as in it's difficult at times. Like last week, for example, with the weather being bad and the Tuesday night, we really struggled to train. We can only train the AstroTurf because it was starting to freeze over, so we couldn't do much at all. So last week we had 1 training session really, and even at that, it was dangerous at times. And even talking to different managers in lower leagues, they were training indoors. And every other team, also apart from Brecon, they're full time. They can train during the day. They can train at 3 o'clock if there's a space available in a gym. So really on that, you're up against it, But I say credit to my players, they keep themselves fit away from the game. And again, it makes it worthwhile when you're getting results or you're losing 1 in 7. All the hard work the players are putting in. Yeah, it's a strange combination with you and, of all people, Ian Durant. We had him on the show on a regular basis. A great lad, brilliant footballer in his day, and for me, I think so much knowledge to impart. Has he been? How great has he been to have on board? He's been terrific. When Stevie left to go to Strachan, it kind of left me working with somebody that I've not worked with before. And with 13 games left of that season, I didn't want to bring someone in that maybe had to take 3 or 4 weeks to bed into the players to really get to know them. And I really had to work somebody in that stood head and shoulders above anybody else. And the respect that he gets. As soon as he walked in the dressing room, I can see players leaders saying that's Ian Durant there. And he's been great. He's been terrific. The boys love him. I enjoy working with him. He's got great knowledge of the game, and for somebody that's been about the game and played at the levels he's at, the fact that we can get him out of Dumbarton again, it shows what we're trying to go and do. There's an attraction there. And you'll talk about the Rangers situation and the ex-players. Maybe he should never have been let go at Rangers, in my opinion. Yeah. And you talk about Barry Ferguson. These players should be ambassadors for that club. They should be in there working. Maybe they used to the young kids and let them look at the players. And my players look up to Ian Durant like that, and it's great. He's a character. He keeps his dressing room going.
my room's next to the dressing room, and I hear riots going on and people laughing. I walk in and he's up on the pool table with the pool cue, he's playing the guitar, singing away, and he's just a character, but he's a serious side to him as well, and I wouldn't like to get the wrong side of him, because it can be that way, but it's been a great fit for both of us, and I'm really enjoying working with him.
Yeah, there is a myth. I mean, I know you've been linked with a few jobs. There's this myth that you won't give up the main day job to go full-time in football, but if that offer came along, would you consider it?
Yeah, I mean, people always say when jobs come up, your name's linked with it, and it's always, I mean, your name does get linked. It also shows you're doing a good job, and you've heard rumours, people saying this club's going to speak to you, that club's going to speak to you. But people seem to know my job better than me, because they keep turning and saying, oh, if you took a job, wouldn't give it up. I'm a manager, and I want to try and manage at the highest level possible. And if that is at Dumbarton for the rest of my days, then fine. I'm more than happy to go and do that. If an opportunity comes to go full time, of course I'm going to look at it, and it'll be something hard for me to knock back, But until somebody asks that question, then there's no other answer for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just keep battering on with Dumbarton. I mean, the ambition, even when you look at the table, if you look at the table right now in the Championship, I mean, you've got that cushion over Falkirk and Brecon. I know you won't be complacent about it, but are your ambitions higher up that table?
We want to try and be, we want to start the season, we want to try and get Dumbarton up as high as we can, but we're realistic enough to know that we're never going to be up the top end challenging for the league, because we've not got resources to go and do that.
Yeah.
We have to live within our means, which means we can't go and attract to players like St Mirren, United, even Queen of South, Dunfermline. Look at that league table. I mean, there's a lot of big clubs, and if somebody said to me at the start, you're in between Inverness, who just came down, Falkirk, who for years have been consistently top 2 or 3, you'd have bite the hand off that, yeah, but at the same time, the last few weeks that Dunfermline should have won, we should have beat Queen of South. We could be sitting in that pack at the 23 points, which would be remarkable. But where we're at just now, we're really happy. We'll try and push it on the second half of the season. Yeah,
well, fingers crossed. You have a really good, strong finish and a good 2018 as well. Stevie, we're delighted that you're here with us in the show. There's a couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, guys. You talk about the Championship and how competitive it is. I watched Everton Swansea last night. It was murder. I don't know about you, Stevie, but I just thought the game was dreadful.
No, it was, and the people always talk about this English league and the best in the world, and listen, some it might well be, and you might get the games it's like that, but I watched the game last night. I don't know if you've seen it, Ruffy, but I thought it was dreadful. I thought the standard was really poor, although Sigurdsson scores a great goal, but some of the passing was going astray, the atmosphere wasn't there, and it just like two teams like short in confidence, and you're looking at that thinking, if that's the best English football's got to offer, and our game's not that bad, but I said maybe because it's team down the bottom struggling a wee bit, but no, it was a poor game.
Yeah, if anything, the Sam Allardyce factor is working big time at Everton, Ruffy.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to see him outside trackside, with his earpiece in and his thing and his big coat and everything. He just looks as if he knows the part and he knows what he's got to do. And certainly, if you get a chance to look at that table and see where they are now, where they were, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, at the other end of it, Man City seem to be running away with it. De Bruyne looks as if he is keen to sign a new deal at Man City, which I think would be a fantastic coup for them, Ruffy. Yeah. But will he be happy on 250,000 a week?
Well, not when he finds somebody else is on 260. But no, he is definitely my player of the year this year. I mean, everybody's raving about Harry Kane, but not for me. He's the man in the Premier League now. Yeah,
better than Hazard.
Yes, I think he is. I think he's fantastic. He's one of these guys. He doesn't like stick out in the game, but he's everywhere. He's just involved in everything, and then he comes up with, if he's going to score a goal, it's going to be something spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the last 2 points to finish on. Slightly negative one, Ruffy. Of course, there was someone being arrested in England on the back of racist abuse towards Raheem Sterling, which again, we are on this programme consistently preaching the show racism, the red card. And over the last week, I think here in Scotland, we've had a couple of incidents. Referee Willie Collum has suffered abuse. Lee Griffiths has suffered abuse. Trolls at the best of time, you find these people in the gutter who really don't have any real association with football or even humanity.
Yeah, they're the hardest ones to catch. So well done to anybody who pursues these people and catches them and punishes them, because I think we've all said all along, if you don't show a significant punishment to these people, then it's going to continue. But we are, and clubs are actively, doing everything they can. But there's always that individual out there.
Yep, fair play to most of the people who've suffered the abuse that have been able to rise above it, but nevertheless sickening when you hear it. Last point, which I hope everybody is behind this one, Ruffy and Stevie, it's Liam Miller, the battle against cancer. He's fighting it, he's going to battle this disease, and hopefully he can overcome it.
Yeah, it's horrible when you hear what's happened. You know, a young man who had a great career in football, a good family. You know, when you get hit with devastating news like that, you know, everyone has to rally around and hopefully gets through it. And hopefully, what it shows a player that fight and determination to get where he was, he can show the same fight to try and beat this, and fingers crossed it does. Yeah, absolutely. That's when social media right across the board can be a positive message to people in the biggest fights. So from everybody on the football show to Liam Miller and the family, especially at this period over the festivities, let's hope that Liam continues to fight and wins that battle against cancer. Great to have Stevie Aitken here in the studio with us. We wish Dumbarton every success for the remainder of the season. From Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching.